Díomh chuine uisle, fáilte go léir go dtí comórtas ardán cancha de chuid Europa go díreach. Welcome everybody and hello to you all. You're all very welcome to the 2020 Europe Direct Soapbox competition. There are 8 Europe Direct centres in Ireland, and each centre will send forward a winner in each age category to the national final on December the 9th. A panel of judges will review the regional winning entries, and the winners will be announced live during this event. But here's the good news. Regional winners will receive an iPad, and the national winners will receive a prize of €1,000. What a nice surprise for Christmas. Let me tell you a bit about the competition. There are 2 categories, 18 and under and 19 and over. This year's topic is, and I have to say how relevant it is, everyone wants to go back to the pre-COVID way of life. We asked everyone to submit a pre-recorded speech of not more than 3 minutes for or against the motion. All recordings were assessed by a panel of judges, and equal marks were awarded for content, delivery, structure and overall impact. It now gives me great pleasure to introduce you to the Mayor of County Galway, Councillor James Charity, who will say a few words.
Hello everybody, James Charity here, Cathaoirleach Galway County Council. On behalf of all of our members, I want to wish everybody participating in Soapbox 2020 the very best of luck. As I understand it, the Galway winner of this competition last year went on to win the national finals, so you all have big shoes to fill in the context of the submissions and presentations that you're going to make, but I have no doubt that each and every one of you will be equal to that task, and that ultimately we'll be able to keep the national title here in County Galway. So no small ask from all of the members here at Galway County Council. When I think of public speaking, I'm reminded of some sage and well-known advice that I received many years ago, and that's to grasp your subject. And once you do that, the words will inevitably follow. The subject I understand that you're dealing with this year is that we all want to return to a pre-COVID way of life. Unfortunately, that's a subject that we all have a lot of familiarity with given the last number of months and everything that we've had to deal with throughout 2020 as both a society and as a local community here in Galway. I'm looking forward to seeing your submissions, to reviewing those and bringing them back to the members of Galway County Council. The competition itself is being run by the European Direct Information Centre, a body that we have great familiarity with here in Galway County Council, and which is vital in terms of disseminating information on European projects, financing and general information. It's a credit to everybody at the EDIC that we've been able to proceed with this particular competition in the context of the COVID year that we have experienced, and I want to thank everybody involved in making this a reality. Again, I wish the very best of luck to everybody participating in this event, and I look forward to seeing your submissions. Thank you.
I would now like to welcome our MEPs from the Midlands Northwest constituency, Maria Walsh and Chris McManus.
Hello, my name is Maria Walsh. I'm the youngest Irish MEP representing Midlands Northwest in the European Parliament. My constituency of Midlands Northwest covers Galway to Donegal, Mayo across to Louth, and I am delighted to give a few words to tonight's finalists and participants, and a big shout out to the European Direct Centres and libraries, because I know a number of them are within Midlands Northwest. We have them in Letterkenny, Peadar, Clones, Ballinasloe, Carrow and Sligo, and hopefully we'll see many more across the country and indeed Midlands Northwest. I just want to send a very warm good luck message to all participants. What you've been tasked with, the question at hand, the motion put forward, the practicing of public speaking. I know the topic of the competition is everyone wants to go back to the pre-COVID way of life, which is fascinating because right now, because of COVID, I am filming this in the European Parliament offices in Dublin, where I'm just after speaking virtually to the hemicycle around a strategy that the Commission put out for LGBTQI rights. So amazing that in the current state that we live in now, where the world has suddenly stopped due to COVID, we are still able to do our work, make our voices heard, make our passions be outlined, and try and win a good argument. And no doubt many of you will be doing that now. It is so important that we hear your voices, that you feel like your voices are valued, and that you're being listened to. And it also gets you ready for a career, which I hope you will get involved in politics. Now more than ever, we need to see voices who represent our communities, and our community represent our politics. Diversity, people from various backgrounds, those like me who didn't grow up in party politics and only came to the political landscape really late in life, but still has a lot of value to add to constituents, be it in local government, which is very, very important, particularly in our country of Ireland, to national politics, where you see senators and deputies, ministers of course too, and then the European Parliament, where I sit, along with 705 in total MEPs, bringing voices, experiences and understandings from across the European Union. I want to wish you the very, very best of luck. I'm always on hand if I can ever ask and offer any advice. I'd love to hear from you. Cogorgicus, enjoy, and I wish you the very, very best of luck.
Hello everyone, my name's Chris McManus. I'm your Sinn Féin MEP in the Midlands North West constituency. The title of this year's Soapbox is Everyone Wants to Go Back to the Pre-COVID Way of Life. My question to you is, do we really want to go back? The pre-COVID way may have been what we were used to and grew comfortable with, but we have to recognise that that way of life contributed to the climate chaos that grips our planet and all of our lives. In December last year, the European Commission launched its Green Deal strategy. This was an important first step that highlighted the need to ensure real and meaningful action is taken towards tackling the climate crisis. We need to work together to deliver a just transition in order to save our planet. The pre-COVID way of life was simply not sustainable, leaving too many of our citizens behind. We need to focus on a post-COVID way of life. We need to focus on a new future. In many ways, life has been paused by this pandemic. It's given us all a chance to re-evaluate how we do things. In my opinion, this is a once-in-a-lifetime chance to reshape our society. And whilst there are very uncertain times we are living through, 2020 has been a year we will never forget. We must be very certain of one thing though. As a society, we must learn from this crisis. We must learn that when we work together, show solidarity with each other, and place the resources of the state for the common good, we have the ability to forge a better society. The current crisis has required our government to implement many temporary emergency policies, such as a single-tier healthcare system, where patients receive care based on need, not wealth, where people can no longer be evicted into homelessness, where rent freezes are all of a sudden constitutional, where the state has a substantial role in funding childcare and social protection benefits have been increased. Like the Green Deal, these policies must become permanent if we are to have a better future. This pandemic has also highlighted the reality of the British border across Ireland. Since COVID took hold, we've seen two different sets of advice from our media, two different health systems, two different lockdowns, all on an island of less than 7 million people. Coronavirus has exposed the damaging nature of partition. Ignoring the border is no longer tenable. Unity is needed now more than ever. Irish society is seeking change. Post-pandemic, that thirst for change will only grow. People are rightly asking questions about our health service, our housing needs, and the quality of our environment. Quality of life issues such as working more from home, commuting less, and seeing more of our families must be at the forefront of many minds, as is the way many of us have come to fully value the importance of the role of our older citizens in our communities. So in my opinion, this is a once-in-a-lifetime chance to start over, and we must grasp it if we don't want to return to the pre-COVID days of an unequal society. Finally, I'd like to congratulate all the participants for making it this far, and I wish you the very best of luck today. Hopefully we get to meet you all when things return to normality. Shannon, remember to look after yourselves and to stay safe. Slán agus beannacht.
Many thanks to our busy MEPs for taking time out to address us and showing how important the Soapbox competition really is. We are so impressed with all of the efforts that our participants put into their entries this year, especially during such challenging times. We know that our judges have had a very tough job deciding. I would now like to introduce you to the chairperson of the judging panel, Megan Scully, who will say a few words.
Hi, Megan Scully here, one of the judges for the 2020 Soapbox competition. Just want to say cahordagus to Gachtainna who took part. We had a massive volume of entries and it was absolutely incredible. The Multari and I had a very tough time having to pick the winners, but as said, just want to say very well done. And I know we had a great time, tough time, but really enjoyable time judging for all the different categories.
I would just like to say a big thank you to all the participants who presented such engaging and passionate arguments. Special thanks to the teachers and parents who worked so hard preparing students under such very difficult conditions. Well done to all. Thanks also to Gary from GK Media for pulling it all together, and to Ballinasloe Europe Direct Centre for hosting the event. Don't forget to tune in to our social media channels on December the 9th when we will announce the national competition. The judges have been discussing and deliberating for quite a while and have finally chosen the winners. I now pass you over to Emer Donohoe, Senior Executive Librarian, for the results.
Congratulations and best wishes to the winners of the 2020 Europe Direct Ballinasloe Soapbox competition. It gives me great pleasure to now announce the winners. The winner in the 19 and over category is Mairéad Carney, and the winner in the 18 and under category is Kate Ní Loideáin. Congratulations Mairéad and Kate. We had a lot of entries, over 45 this year, so well done. Here are the winning entries, and we also have a selection from the younger category which the judges loved.
Hi, my name is Mairéad Carney and I'll be speaking against the motion that everyone wants to go back to pre-COVID way of life. I'll be looking at it from a professional and a personal perspective. Professionally, COVID-19 has introduced and normalised remote working for my business in community development. There's been a reduction in my commute to work, which has had a significant impact on our carbon footprint individually and as a nation. I am better able to time manage myself with the reduction of 15 hours a week in travel. It has made my work more effective and me more effective. It has introduced innovation in the way I work by the use of digital platforms, and I believe this has happened across all industry in Ireland. It has enhanced the way I work with colleagues and partners, creating more opportunities for collaborative work through digital platforms, making the time management again more effective. It has increased my opportunities for training and reskilling by allowing me access to accredited programs both locally, nationally and internationally, which has an impact on the business I work in and the methods that I use. On a personal level, I now value the benefits of living in a rural community with unlimited accesses to recreational walks and supports, where I can live freely within a pandemic that is happening right now. It has supported more positive relationships with my family, where I realise now that my health is my wealth and that my family is very, very important. It has made me more self-reflective, and I believe this is across the nation, into our consumerism and our need to buy and purchase and go on holidays. We now value our own country and the tourism industry in our own country, and the place that we live in is absolutely beautiful. I'm more aware as well of my own health and well-being and the need to maintain my mental health and that of my family and my community. And I think that has been seen throughout the whole nation with regard to COVID. COVID-19 has changed the way we live and changed the way we work and changed the way we interact. It has created an environment where we're all working together and living together through one of the most difficult periods of my life anyway. I believe we shouldn't return to pre-COVID way of life. I believe we should embrace this new way of existence, looking at us as individuals and how we impact on our environment and how we impact on our community and the benefits that we do bring to our community. I think it is an opportunity for us to look into the next millennium into ways of working and living that have the least limited impact on our environment, while maintaining our health and well-being in a positive way. I believe we should not return to pre-COVID ways of life. Thank you.
Kate Ní Loideáin, Ish Cúdéag Scalfamsachira.
Aghliú Uisle, Chonig Oshi, Mach in Vicu, Ban Vidal, Nílchinor, ag Tatlisloe Capagón, Iglésia a Glócasíad. Chorshi Oshi Fiabriocht, Finalist, Chuig Tír na Nóg. An náit a le míid hana haura gúni, le neart fianna agus mid. Nuair bhreanan duine siar a gcuimhní rownithe, bíonn an saoir céimar agus daoine son. Ní orna Oshin Sirius. Bhí cá aige in níon tansil, agus heasta wave Philip Irash. A loch déisiochta, Tom down Cusloshi, a gearhol Irash in tansil. Unseal Riv COVID. Tá arguibni Cusser Buska Shopins of Farscomp. Thomas a gearhol Irash, ignoring Maha, nobody Dassel, no Dini Dassel. Horirash, ignohimothy sport to the spree. Na himachtaí cultúra agus cordis, choidir ag taiste, ní chá na 2 kilometer ach thar lear. Ach, mo argon sná, nach ran síl rih COVID chuhiantach agus atá, ins nar bhuimhní. In éidir, bhí 9,900 agus a 7 gan sídzum samorta. Tá 8 milliún techi fud down. Bhí 5 sean rih COVID agus bé sean in the year. Madan lad a réin run down $8 low. Bhí 5 sean rih COVID agus bé sean in the year. Céir é man Black Lives Matter. Is pandín cineachos freisin. Arúirde agus bhreatanat, feibhna áir lenne. Bhí na feibhna sean rih COVID agus bé seán in the year. Der Clíseach an Leo Varadkar nach na superheroes aháin a gahan COVID. Nuair a din Oshi Adash go dtín seansíl, ní ru an seansíl chuhiantach agus a ru ins na cuimhní. Níl superheroes a ganásíl. Sun síl réadú, sun síl an lé inniu. A loch déisiochta cínte fúna an tampa caite. Ach, ná té siar go dtí an tansil sin líist. Nar a himmelwein ach síl nefit agus PPE, Houlihan, Glenn agus Fauci, endemic, epidemic, pandemic. Narati ar agus narati bosh, Sard so, no cuig. A loch déisiochta cínte, Thomas a fada Gerrit zedde, lis síl COVID. Ach, Nína dul siar ag síl rih COVID. Ach le síl níos far, agus sinna fá a bhuilim an áid an rú gur magla.
Good afternoon. My name is Alana. As a small child, I frequently heard the grown-up conversations of how marvellous the Celtic Tiger life had been before the recession. Everything had apparently been better, brighter and boomier. I even remember my mother saying that before the crash you could just pop over to New York for a bit of Christmas shopping. We now recognise this type of talk as nostalgia and are well aware that the early noughties were in fact a time of recklessness, stress and questionable fashion sense for many in Ireland. As this pandemic drags on, memories of what life was once like are resurfacing in claims that we must get back to normal. But before we embark on any restoration project, it's worth asking, is the pre-COVID way of life one that we want to restore? Apart but never closer has become the motto for many supermarkets and businesses throughout Europe. It's true. FaceTime, Zoom calls and Skype have changed the way we communicate, and ironically it's through isolation that we have become more connected than ever before. Further evidence of this could be seen when the UN General Secretary Antonio Guterres called on warring countries to lay down their weapons and fight the common enemy, COVID-19. The seemingly impossible became possible. This connectedness and camaraderie learned throughout the pandemic is a vital lesson which we must take with us into the future. Another possibility learned throughout COVID-19 is its effects on the environment. Carbon emissions fell 17% globally, and with air travel grinding to a halt, the planet has had a chance to rejuvenate. With tourists gone from Italy, the long polluted canals of Venice now appear clear, and the fish have started returning. This proves that we hold the solution to environmental issues. The seemingly impossible is possible. Now more than ever, we're in a good position to ensure that this continues and our planet continues to heal. In spite of all the heartbreak this pandemic's brought about, it's important to recognise all of the positives. It's offered us a new perspective on everything we've taken for granted for so long. We must learn from this experience to make the most of every day, both during and after COVID-19. If we fail to do this, all of this has been meaningless. As a teenager, I now hear the grown-up conversations of how marvellous life had been before COVID. Let's not look back on the pre-COVID way of life with nostalgia. Let's hope for an even better world post-COVID, where our world doesn't forget how close we all became during a global pandemic, where our environment is allowed to continue to thrive, where the impossible becomes possible, apart but never closer. This crisis will end. We will meet again, and we can do so as better people.
Ladies and gentlemen, chairperson, adjudicators and friends. My name is Cianna and I am here today to oppose the motion. Everyone wants to go back to the pre-COVID way of life. This statement is untrue. I disagree, my family disagree, my friends and peers all disagree, because this statement is 100% false. Would you be the same person you are today if it wasn't for the COVID-19 lockdown? I personally believe that lockdown has been a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for self-improvement. I remember Friday the 13th of March as if it were a fever dream. The day before, Leo Varadkar had announced a 2-week lockdown. 2 weeks without school, without seeing friends, without fun. I was devastated. I was supposed to be going to a disco that evening, but instead I sat in my bedroom wallowing in self-pity. 2 weeks later and I was still sitting in my room. I felt eternally trapped in my own company, unsure of when this lockdown would end, if it would end at all. Lockdown became the renaissance of my teenage years when I realised that exhaustion and angst had shrunken me down to the smallest version of myself. Today I'm going to be speaking to you about why going back to pre-COVID life is a completely ridiculous concept, and how COVID-19 has made us more grateful as a society. If there's one thing I've learned from lockdown, it's gratitude. Gratitude is an invaluable virtue. Appreciation of the little things erased my lockdown boredom completely. I remember in April, I would walk my dog twice a day, every day, just to get out of the house. Something I used to see as a chore had suddenly become something to look forward to. When restrictions slowly faded away, me and my family would get takeaway on a Sunday. I don't think I'd ever been so happy to see the red and white paper bag filled with curry chips, burgers and chicken nuggets. If you'd have told me this day last year that at any point in my life, curry chips would have been the highlight of my week, I would have laughed in your face. I bet every one of you remembers seeing your friends for the first time after lockdown. It was euphoria to finally be reunited with them after 3 long months. Wouldn't you agree? Something we had taken for granted for so long was suddenly taken away from us, forcing us to be more grateful. Whether it was friends or sports or Supermax, lockdown compelled us to appreciate the little things. So why would anyone in their right mind want to go back to an exhausted, ungrateful society? The basis for my self-improvement has undoubtedly been gratitude. I came to the realization that time was something I was taking for granted. So I started spending less time on social media, and I started spending more time exercising, sleeping, doing things I genuinely enjoyed. The books on my shelf that I'd been collecting dust for so long were finally picked up again. Canvases and paints made a regular appearance in my bedroom, and I rewatched my favourite films over and over again. I stopped wasting my time and picked up new hobbies to fill the void COVID-19 had left in my life. The shrunken, fun-sized version of myself slowly began to expand. I liked myself more as a person, and I'm certain that an abundance of people feel the same way. So no, I would definitely not go back to the pre-COVID way of life, and I know for a fact the majority of young people and adults alike would agree with me. Whether you realise it or not, COVID-19 made you a more appreciative person. This is not debatable, this is a fact. Now I ask you, do you really believe that everyone wants to go back to the pre-COVID way of life? Thank you.
Esteemed judges, James Thurberg once said, "Let us not look back in anger, nor forward in fear, but around in awareness." COVID-19 has brought about many challenges and changes in our lives that we have found hard to deal with. This pandemic has impacted my education system as well as those around me. On returning back to school, I found it hard to deal with the changes in the education system. I consider myself a kinesthetic learner, and so with the restrictions on practical subjects such as home economics and biology, I found it hard to engage with these subjects. I then realized that I cannot change the course of the pandemic, but I can control how my actions and how I combat the situation with a more positive outlook. The economy has also suffered with the loss of many jobs in different sectors. My dad is an example of this. He works as a taxi driver, which is heavily influenced by people needing to transport to work, school, and just to meet up with friends and family. But due to the pandemic and its quarantines and isolations, many people haven't been going out much, and so he only gets the minimum of 3 runs a day. Although this has been hard for my family, it has taught us to be more frugal with money and spend it wisely. Another area that has met challenges is mental health. Maynooth University did a study on over 1,000 adults, and it revealed that anxiety, depression, and PTSD have risen significantly since the start of the pandemic due to more people feeling more lonely from isolations and quarantines. Many platforms have since then opened up, such as virtual therapy sessions and 24-hour websites where people can anonymously submit their issues and get responses from professionals. The way we interact has also changed with others. Face-to-face interactions have changed to virtual interactions, such as this one here. Even though it's not the same, it has helped us stay in touch with our loved ones. Nowadays, we must go out wearing masks. Yes, they are for our protection, but they take away a basic feature of humans, our smiles. Cynthia Ozick said, "We often take for granted the very things that deserve the most gratitude." And it's true. I hadn't realized and appreciated how far a simple smile could go. To conclude, I feel that what we take from this whole experience is what's most important. Because to go back to the way things were without any of it would be like it was for nothing at all. And so, whether you are for or against this statement, we must all take this little quote. This too shall pass. Thank you.
Coronavirus, COVID-19, Wuhan, social distancing, ICU, and NEPs. These are all words that have consumed our daily lives since March 2020. Adjudicators and fellow students, today I will be opposing the motion that everyone wants to return to a pre-COVID way of life. While you may initially recoil at this statement, let's take a moment to look at what life was really like before COVID-19. At the beginning of this year, our pace of life was rapidly changing and increasing. People were travelling abroad frequently, and our consumption of clothes, food, and other necessities was at an all-time high. Yes, these times are exciting, but I can also look back on them now as extremely overwhelming. When the first lockdown was introduced, our lives were brought to a sudden halt. We were left with an abundance of free time, too much simply filled with our phones and other mobile activities. While it's easy to focus on the negatives of this, I urge you, just for a moment, to consider the positives. My first point will focus on mental health. In our pre-COVID ways, for a lot of us, our focus was brought to superficial and minuscule problems that seemed enormous at the time. When the global pandemic came along, it was easier to care just a bit less what everyone else thought of us. The severity of the pandemic helped us realise that our problems really were smaller than they seemed. I believe that this period gave us a chance to sit back, relax, and enjoy the little things in life. Our pace of life was moving so fast that we needed our phones to keep up. This, in a way, forced us to become addicted to them. As our pace of life has slowed down, we've been given a chance to actually feel bored. From this boredom, creativity can stem. We seek out other sources of entertainment, like a simple conversation with family or picking up a paintbrush and painting. As restrictions lift, let's assure that these hobbies are kept alive and that we don't find ourselves smothered once again by social media and the speed of our society. For my next point, I will be reminding you of how we came together as people during our COVID lockdowns. Many people found that the lockdown brought them closer with friends and family. Never before have we had the chance to spend so much time at home. This helped us to grow a closer bond with our families and get to know them just a bit deeper. This bond grounds us and enables us to grow stronger, knowing we have a good support system backing us. Our families are precious, and I fear that this special relationship will begin to lose importance as we return to our pre-COVID ways of life. Let's work hard at maintaining it and assure that we don't repeat our pre-COVID mistakes in forgetting our families. With these points being mentioned, I can assure you that not everyone wants to return to a pre-COVID way of life. This pandemic should be used as a reality check, highlighting our pre-COVID mistakes and faults. Whether it's disregarding our mental health or forgetting about our families, our pre-COVID lives were not perfect, and neither were we. People are enjoying life more now and appreciating every little thing. Let's not repeat history and return to our pre-COVID way of life. Thank you.
Peadar McDonagh, Ish Steve Skalfon Shakira.
A Lochtéisteachta. Téchol, ní bhfad mis be bringladí agus be saoún síl mar bhí riban na pandéim COVID-19. Tá sé benis mórta fiche. Lára lé, lára mísa, lára neara. Bís éigeala. Chuile scoil, chuile foriste, ag ógú go forrád lála páric. Hain glas a chud chulrút, agus gilindar amach ruing le lá Washington na Dóchas le ní páric ascail mór na héidir. Tá an náisiúnta rugby ag fáilfaí réid le gradú thuirt de na hidala, ag 60 go háir le tíbí chéile. Tá coiste gail fiche agus sketamínear leis an méide tá Canadaú go chathair cultúr na Eorpa. Tá Sasnach sachar is fearr iríomh léirfó achtaí na Rosalie ré le gorta tríocha bliana chuló, agus tá fórne náisiúnta sacr ag tréanal le na Euros fiche. Tá lúthleasí an domhan ag chur bar fáilte go tréanal le haid na clufií Olimpeacha Tokyo. Tá bora na clámíochta agus bag nach lán oscaileach sa tí. A Lochtéisteachta dúisií. Tá COVID-19 é síl chuileanna áru, agus a áru go midsanach, ó brebe bás. Ag bre líniad ins na hospital mórchas, níl cad ag pártaithe na móthar a bheith i bhothaid, a bheith ag bre go líniad ins an síl aisteach nó seo. Níl bheith daoine ag síú an bháis i dtithe altrúnis agus an hospital, ní ar cad ag gláán a bheith bere lágarú agus iad a fágáil an síl aisteach nó seo. A Lochtéisteachta an chuidú fiche go bhórta fiche, cáilú mó hain Kate Ní Loideáin i d altrúnis. Ban lách a chatha síl an nuis mór, agus rá airne ag chuile áireanach orb. Ach fearar ní rá chuile áireanach an ná freastal is sochríide. Tá mar lothair bríon ina bhaicléin ar Oscail Amsterdam, agus ní rá se an bheith a lothair ar thochríide a bhamó. Sin iad peanta páirsúnta COVID-19. I lár ní mórta, chuig fin géad go bhainte na héireann a bhí dioscíthe. De bhain na pandéime, tá 52 fin géad dioscíthe. Sin follins a cnámíochta COVID-19. Tá seodaoine deasa an tír sciúpaí wein ag COVID-19. Seodaoine deasa cultúra, sportúil, síimsúil, ceolhar, álínta agus spríomhar. Agus an áit tuspanta sí, ceol, álín, dansa, sport agus dánta, tá figurí agus statisticí wash COVID-19. A bhacht éisteachta táimse an dail agus a bhhair ag gearradh a leis agus líal mar a bhí ribh COVID-19.
Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Stephen Donlan and today I shall be strongly arguing against the motion everyone wants to go back to the pre-COVID way of life. But first, let me define the motion. The Merriam-Webster Dictionary defines everyone as every person. In the context of this motion, it is asking us to accept that each and every person wishes to return to their pre-COVID way of life. Conversely, it implies by extension that there does not exist one person who wishes to remain in their current way of life as opposed to that before the pandemic. Any individual proposing this motion must prove without a shadow of a doubt that there is not one person who enjoys their current lifestyle as opposed to that of before COVID-19. Any proposing party that does not do this must fail in this motion. The motion stands and falls on this point alone. Ladies and gentlemen, one group that certainly doesn't wish to go back to their pre-COVID way of life is that of Dublin City commuters, who last year spent 8 days and 21 hours of their lives sitting in traffic, according to the Irish Times. The proponents of this motion, who shall no doubt emphasise the problems that are a corollary of working from home, but these pale in comparison to the pervasive distress caused by commuting to Dublin. Lives wasted, health eroded, sitting in traffic. Ladies and gents, I'm not here to toe the line that everything is rosy in a post-COVID way of life. It's not. It's undeniable. But what is equally undeniable is that people want to return to their pre-COVID way of life. I certainly don't. Do you? So bring me the office worker who wishes to return to their 3-hour Dublin commutes. Find me the young person who wants to return to their pre-COVID carbon emissions. And find me the Jeff Bezos who isn't basking in his newfound 48 billion net worth. To conclude, ladies and gentlemen, despite the conspicuous downsides and drawbacks of COVID-19, it is both unrealistic and undesirable to return to our existence before the pandemic. We've seen far too many advantageous changes that have improved the quality of life of many. The simple fact is, not everyone wishes to return to a pre-COVID way of life. Thank you.
Chairperson, adjudicators, fellow competitors, good evening. My name is Lydia Quinn and today I will be proposing the motion that everyone wants to go back to a life pre-COVID. Ladies and gentlemen, in my speech today I will start out firstly by discussing the state of our economy. Secondly, the impact on our most vulnerable people. Thirdly, the impact on relationships. And fourthly, the impact on the younger generation. I'd like to begin by saying COVID-19 has ruined the lives of many people by taking people's family members, friends, partners and neighbours. Why would anyone not want to go back to a life pre-COVID? Ladies and gentlemen, the backbone of any society is dependent on its economy and its ability to create employment for its people. COVID-19 has created a plethora of unemployment for people instead. Yes, indeed, the €350 government subsidy can help a little, but not a lot for families of 6 or more people. We have seen the distress on faces of those who have just lost their businesses or on those struggling to make ends meet with the little they have. According to cross-border trade body Intertrade Ireland, more than 50% of Ireland's businesses are in decline following COVID-19 lockdowns. According to the Irish Times, before the pandemic, 42% of Irish businesses were growing, but this number has tumbled down to just 15%. And more worryingly, the numbers of businesses in decline has jumped from 7% to a whopping 53%. Moving on to my second point, the vulnerable people. The homeless people still occupying our deserted streets at night, and the domestic abuse sufferers, still their torture worse than ever. Hospital and nursing home residents wishing they could just hold their loved ones tight. Keeping your distance has become our new way of showing that we care. For example, an elderly woman shown on television had to write a letter to her great-grandchild because she couldn't meet them in person. This poignant moment shows us just how important human contact is for people. My third point focuses on the havoc COVID-19 has created in the domain of relationships. Not only has the dreaded virus taken people's lives and freedom, but it has also taken away people's hope. People want to be able to get up and go whenever they want, wherever they want. We want normality again. My last point relates to the people of my own age. As a result of this insidious virus, we have many students all across the world nervous to go to school. We have students in fear of going to school, of bringing home the virus to a vulnerable loved one. COVID-19 must have never heard of the saying, the school days are the best days of one's life. To conclude my main points, I will state that life was so much easier and enjoyable before this pandemic. The simple joys of being able to get up and go to the cinema or go to the restaurant. But we will get it back. I end with a quote from an American psychologist, Jeff Greenberg. He states, "We all have a psychological immune system which makes it possible for us to live a positive life after a negative impact. This quote gives us hope that we can live a normal and fulfilling life." Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for listening, and I hope you agree with my points.
Before I start, can I just say one thing that might make your day? Live life like there is no tomorrow, and treat everyone fairly as we live in democracy. Good afternoon, judges and friends. Today I would like to give my opinion on everybody wants to go back to the pre-COVID way of life. I would like my voice to be heard. I would agree with this because in the past we could go to a shop without having to wear a mask and putting on sanitizer. So firstly, we are all so lucky to be here. We can realise how fast our world can change. In March I was in school doing what I should be doing, and that is learning. And then on March the 12th COVID came, and so did lockdown. And everybody had to wait off school for 5 or 6 months. That's when things got more severe. My school usually goes to different countries as part of Erasmus+, but at the moment we can't do that because the other countries may have more COVID cases than what my country has. Secondly, when COVID came, I couldn't go out to visit my grandparents in case any infections got brought out to them. And let me just tell you one beautiful thing that happened during lockdown. As I was going for a walk, I saw a baby calf. The calf tried to stand up on its 2 shaky legs, and then it fell back down on the ground. The next day I went walking again, and the same animal that I saw was running along the field. And it was nice when I saw it because I didn't usually get to see that because I'm always at school. But my point is that you should always appreciate the animals with kindness and never cruelty. Now that Corona is here, I can't really go to Mass that often, and it is really disappointing. Oh, and how could I almost forget to mention our heroes? They are the staff at the hospital, they are teachers, they are you guys. Because if you didn't let us enter your competition, we wouldn't have realised how special everything around us is. Our parents are heroes, and one person you can never forget is yourself, because you can make a change in the world if you decide to follow the rules. And can I just say one thing? I'm not telling you it's going to be easy, I'm telling you it's going to be worth it. Thank you all so much for listening to me.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, chairman and chairmisses, and all the judges. My name is Jessica Gakoy, and I am 13 years old, so I'll be competing in the 18 and under category. Today, I would like to strongly oppose the motion that we should go back to the pre-COVID way of life. Let me begin with my first point. Man is a progressive being. Over the years, a lot of things have tried to defeat man. We've had pandemic, natural disasters, wars in the past, and with all those things come death. Death is a thing that puts fear in human hearts, but it's not a thing to ever stop us. For centuries, we have held our ground, we have kept going, and we came out victorious. Yes, death will come, but we have to adapt, progress, and never stop. But you know what's worse than stopping? Going back. So I don't think we should take a step back without trying to take a step forward. My next point is hygiene. Statistics have shown a large increase in hand hygiene over the last few months. In the last few months, our immune systems have immensely increased. We have realized the responsibilities we have over our bodies. So should we go back to the careless life we had before COVID-19? No. My third point is media progression. In the last few months, technology has played a huge part in all of our lives. For a long time, technology has been seen as something that destroys, something that could hurt our brains. But COVID-19 has shown us clearly the huge advantages of what we have. Now you can do anything internationally with the click of a button. Yes, because of COVID-19, we might not be able to see our families. But because of COVID-19, we don't have to wait months to travel to have a long, warm conversation with them. We can just go on a nice app called Zoom. And you know what? Zoom has been here for a long time. But because of COVID-19, we've been aware of that. Did you know Zoom was here before now? I didn't. My last point is creativity. COVID-19 has sparked creativity in a lot of us. Truth is, COVID-19 has limited us from doing a lot of things we could do before. But going back to my first point, we've been able to adapt. Much more, we have created something great out of a bad situation. A lot of us have mastered skills we never knew possible. Yes, a lot of businesses can be seen as being suffering because of COVID-19, because they've had to shut down. But you know what? A lot of businesses are blooming because they have found a way to use this situation to their advantages. Even restaurants have found a way to share their love of food creatively, which in return has a huge advantage for them, making people of all nations, in all nations, more aware of them. Why? Because of COVID-19. In conclusion, COVID-19 has brought us troubles, but has also made us stronger, more creative, and more united. What do we even want to go back to? What is a pre-COVID way of life? Going back is actually trying to relearn everything we've already progressed from. Going back to a pre-COVID way of life is like going back to the medieval times. Going back is discarding everything we have gained. Going back is losing. So let's go forward. Thank you.
The winning entries in both categories will be posted on the Ballinasloe Europe Direct Facebook and on the Galway Public Library's YouTube channel. Last year's winner, Joanna Lane, went on to win the national competition. So like every good football team, we're hoping for 2 in a row for Ballinasloe this year. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, our Europe Direct Soapbox 2020 is now over for another year. Congratulations to all our winners and we wish them well in the national finals. Garamila Mahagi Galer, Slán agus bí Sábháilte.